when we heal that mother wound, then we're doing our part to heal the world.
Before we get started, my name is Ashanti, and I am the daughter of Neferah.
I am Neferah. I am the daughter of Evelyn, who is the daughter of Maybell.
So, for those of you who aren't familiar, I know it sounds pretty self explanatory, but there's always going to be people out there who ask, well, what does that really mean? And a mother wound is the trauma, the emotional and spiritual trauma that is caused by the abandonment or mistreatment of a child by their mother during childhood. And oftentimes people carry that trauma with them throughout life, and it tends to affect their relationships, and not just romantically, but with their children. And then it turns into generational trauma.
What people don't realize is that the trauma starts in the womb, before the child is even born, because the mother is responsible for feeding that child. The nutrients come in through the mother, and it also happens spiritually too. And it's a big responsibility for us to look within ourselves to find out how we can stop this process.
To even acknowledge it, to even watch a video like this, it's like to have the wherewithal to know yourself enough to recognize that this is not normal, or I don't want to continue to feel like this, is enough to know that you are being called or you are in alignment, because there's only a select chosen few who actually seek the healing that is necessary. And if you are conscious and aware enough to see the issue, and then not just see the issue, but to begin to do the work, then that just says a whole lot about your purpose in this lifetime. So shout out to you for even making it this far in the video to begin with, because like I said, this is an uncomfortable conversation, and people don't like to feel these things that these types of conversations bring to the surface.
But also, it starts the healing. Once you realize it, then that's when the healing starts. If you wonder why you are like you are, where you can't really enjoy life like other people, or maybe you have a problem with friendships and relationships, it all starts in the womb.
Yeah.
And so the healing has to take place, and it starts with you. The moment you realize that something happened, some type of trauma, something happened to cause this to affect you, and it's not your fault.
Right.
So, and that's
It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. It's like sometimes we can live in the energy of it's not my fault, and we distance ourselves from problem solving. But regardless of whether or not it is your fault or not, if you are conscious, you are now responsible for the healing that's required. And it's not just for you, it's for your entire bloodline. But you made the decision to be incarnated in this lifetime and to play this role in this lifetime. So own responsibility for that too. Now that's a little, I might be taking a little far with that, but it's true at the end of the day. When you maintain the power and recognizing, like, you know what, my healing is my responsibility, regardless. Like, regardless of who caused the pain, or who, the people who have bestowed their burdens upon you, they didn't went on with their life. You the one that's still sitting there trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do next, and crying and feeling sorry for yourself. But knowing and being aware enough to say, like, you know what, all right, you're gonna get sick and tired of being sick and tired eventually. We all are. We all do. We all get to that point. I think there's a time in all mother-daughter relationships though where it can get kind of tricky. I know for me it was probably high school age, somewhere ninth, 10th grade, where it was just like, didn't want to listen, just wanted to do my own thing, thought I was grown, those typical things. And then the older you get, the more you realize that you just didn't know what you were talking about. You just needed to listen and be obedient. But what I was just talking to my mom about, I was like, I know at this age, I know that my issue was that I just needed to listen to you. But there are women out here who did not have any wisdom or anyone even trying to steer them in the right direction. And
Or even having conversations with them,
yeah,
because I know I would say a lot to you, um, phrases that my mother would say to me, and you in turn would go to school and you would tell your classmates, and they would look at you and say, where did you get that? It's
yeah,
like, and you was like, well, my mama. And they really don't have a dialogue with their mother.
yeah.
And it's just a routine. They had that child, and it's a child, and they just let the child grow up. They don't
Yeah, it used to
nurture.
be. It used to be the child was grandma baby. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have that. That wasn't my thing. But grandma was around when I was younger, when I was much younger. But still, like a lot of people in my generation, they were their grandmother's baby. Like they will always be with the grandma. The generation that came in after that, the grandma ain't even on that no more. So the grandma is not even instilling wisdom. And that there's a disconnect within that too, because that is such a necessary ingredient in what we call community. And I feel like there's such a disconnect within the community. It's such a disconnect, and it all starts with the womb. If we everything starts in the womb.
It starts in the womb. So if the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter are all going to the club body hunting, then it's like, and this happens, you're laughing, Shanti, but this happens a lot more than you realize. But there has to be clear lines there. It has to be, we need our elders.
Generational boundaries.
Right. And,
Like
right.
who do we look up to? That's a fact. Like who do we look up to? And then it got to the point where even within myself, like I'm in my 30s, and it took me to be in my 30s to realize like I'm who they need to look up to. Like imagine my surprise. Imagine my surprise. Like what do you mean? I'm looking to my left and looking to my right. Like dang, I wonder who gonna be a role model for the kids. It's looking real. It's looking crazy out here, and I'm like, yo, I'm steady trying to figure it out whole time. You too. I'm talking to you too, and that's why it's so important for people to be stepping into our, for us to be stepping into our purposes, for us to be praying for divine alignment, so that we can do the uncomfortable work, so that we can show up for those who are within the community who do not have those structure, the environment, a structured environment, or someone who can offer them wisdom or advice from a place of wisdom. There's it's a need in the community, y'all. It's a serious need, and mothering energy does not just come from people's maternal mother. Like that is a community energy. Like there was a sense of all children belonged
To the village.
Thank you.
And you don't have to physically give birth to a child to be a mother.
Yeah.
And there are so many women out here that have that maternal spirit, and they might not have ever given birth physically.
And there's women who's giving birth who don't have the maternal spirit.
Right,
and
right.
It's so crazy. But it makes you wonder, like that is the, probably, I want to say, most spiritual experience there is, to create life and bring forth life, and to have the ability to do that and to be disconnected from that life, that poor child. You know what I mean? Like that child, a child who was disconnected from their mother and left to fend for themselves in this lifetime, that's a very challenging life from the beginning because there's a disconnection from being nurtured. But that doesn't mean that your life is not going to be amazing. You just have to assume the responsibility. Mm-hmm. And we start to think about solutions in situations like this. And like I was saying, once you step out of the energy of like victimhood, like, yes, it happened. Yes, it's unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. You know, all the things that we use to kind of or delay our responsibility in the matter or our accountability.
Denial.
Right. As soon as we step out of the energy of victimhood, that's when healing begins. That's when it really, you know, it's imminent from there. It's up from there. So it's like recognizing that a lot of the hurt that we experience in adulthood comes from the wounded child. And realizing that at some point we neglected that child within us.
Inner child, that's right. Yeah.
And that inner child, I keep saying this and I feel like I want to keep saying it because until somebody hear me. The inner child is solely responsible for your creative energy. One day you decided that you had to grow up, right? And you neglected everything that came with that childlike energy. So you seen the world from a different perspective. You stop dreaming. And when you stop dreaming, you stop living. So when you realize that, okay, I am feeling all of these negative emotions and I no longer want to feel this way anymore, it's going to start with reconnecting with the child that you abandoned. Mm-hmm. And that the age in which you are, where you disconnected from that energy, when you disconnected from your inner child, that is where you're going to go back energetically. You're going to go back mentally through meditation, and you're going to collect your inner child. And you're going to nurture your inner child. You're going to spend time, you're going to do activities that's going to help cultivate a comfortable living experience for your inner child. See, I feel like nobody wants to be responsible for being the generational curse breaker. It's usually the responsibility of the one, of the black sheep. Ironically, it's usually the one who is on a lone island to begin with that is designated for that task. And it's not, I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat it. It's not an easy thing. But what else isn't easy is continuing to walk around wearing a mask and carrying all of the baggage of several generations of broken relationships and lack of love and, you know, broken homes and, you know, just carrying around all of those burdens. So when we talk about really getting to the root of things and starting anew and really, really healing, the source of that is going to be through forgiveness.
And then after forgiving yourself, you forgive yourself first, then you forgive your mother.
You forgive your mother.
And you have to realize that hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And there was some trauma that she went through, and this is why she passed it down to you, and this is where that generational curse comes from. Mm-hmm. And if it was brought to your attention, then you have the power to stop that generational curse and bring forth healing to yourself, your mom, your family. Mm-hmm. It's important for us to live because there's so much work that has to be done. So we need to, like Jesus said, do I'm about doing my father's work, my
Mhm.
father's business. So we need to be about doing what it is that we came here for.
Mhm.
What's stopping us is the pain from, because wounds cause pain.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so what's stopping us from doing what we're supposed to do is the pain that we have masked.
Yeah.
We
And
put
the
that
fear of reopening those
right,
wounds.
right.
Yeah.
You know, like I think if there's a song that says, "How did you get here? Nobody's
Mhm.
supposed to be here,"
Yeah.
because we can put that wall up,
Mhm.
but that wall is not living, and people feel that. So people feel that's why certain people don't like to be around you because they don't like what they feel. But once you let that healing begin, then you're going to find out. They'll tell you. They can't
Yes,
help
they
it.
will.
Uh, I used to feel this way about you and all
Yep.
this, but um, you're not like that anymore.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
a great feeling to know that you are living your life on purpose.
Mhm.
And
And then I also want to say this too when it comes to forgiving your mom. I think oftentimes, we put our mothers on pedestals. Like we view our moms as superheroes and incapable of error, making error. It's like, because in our mind, this the person that brought you into this world. They are a superhero, but not realizing that your mother is still a human being, and we as human beings are flawed, and we make mistakes, and we are imperfect. So just kind of, I think that comes with age too, and wisdom, and just realizing like at the end of the day we're all just human and we're all just figuring it out. And that doesn't mean that you're not valid for feeling however you feel, or to think that things should have or could have been different. I don't want to invalidate anyone's experiences. I don't know everyone's experiences, but I do know that at the end of the day we have to give grace, and it's not just for that person, but it is for
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yep, exactly, exactly. And what's going to happen is that you're going to draw people to you that's part of your tribe.
Mhm.
And that's where the army comes about, where you all are able to break that generational curse. And
And be a support system and hold space for
mm-hmm,
one another while you're doing that. But I just wanted to offer encouragement to anybody who is, having a different type of Mother's Day. For those of you all who do not have a relationship with your mother and aren't able to spend time with your mom in this time, or your mother has transitioned on, I just want to extend love and, empathy and understanding. And I just want you to know that even if you feel that you are alone, you're not. You're not. And even when, especially in this day and age where everybody is choosing to suffer in silence and we're all portraying these perfect images of self, at the end of the day, the real, true proof of alignment is through connecting with one another. The real true proof of God, is through connecting and communing with one another. And especially on days that remind us of our wounds, I think it's important to extend an invitation of community. And so, with that being said, I want to invite anybody who is looking for their own tribe or a space to commune with like minded individuals. Click the link in my bio in the description box below, and you'll find some resources there. If you are starting your spiritual journey and you are looking for any type of mentorships or anything of that nature, my mother and I have teamed up together creating courses and all types of educational, it's a whole library of resources for those of you who do not have the ability to, um, you know, tap in with your elders in the community. I am doing my best to extend my elders to you. And yeah, with that being said, I'd like to thank you guys for joining us for this conversation. If you liked this conversation, if you would like more conversations like this, if you didn't like this conversation and you don't want more conversations like this, I'm still going to ask you to hit that like button, to subscribe to my channel. Offer me some encouragement. You know, I want to be consistent in this. I want to be visible in this, and just show up for those of you who need me to. I think that sometimes we forget that our role, no matter how insignificant we may view it to be, is so significant, and us showing up can mean the world to even just one person.
That's right. True.
So that's my responsibility, to find the strength and the courage and the discipline to continue to show up for you all, because you all are deserving of that. And I am grateful to be able to be purposeful. So I just want to extend that to you all as well. And I feel like I just been talking y'all head off. So that's all I have for y'all. Mom, do you have anything you want to?
Well, I think this is really good, and I think that um, Michael Jackson has a song called "Heal the World,"
Oh, I love
and so I think that when we heal that mother wound, then we're doing our part to heal the world, because the things that are happening in the world is because people are hurt,
yeah,
and they're wounded.
yeah,
So let's all do our part. And like my daughter said, put your comments. Let us know how you feel and what you're going to do, what part you're going to do in this healing journey.
yeah. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining us tonight, and we will see you all in the next video.
All right.
Good night. Good day.